something a little different tonight with me and Adega. Usually we do the stories and we do the investigations, and it's creepy, it's spooky, it's mysteriously ooky. But tonight is going to be something a little different. So, greetings, everyone. I want to take a moment before we get started to say greetings and hello again to Rebecca Early, the woman who runs Red River Tattoo. She dropped a $20 super sticker in before we got started, and it is a samurai Shiba Inu that I absolutely love. It's samurai Shiba Inu holding like an award, like a golden trophy award. Thank you so very much for that. She says she will be back later to listen. She couldn't stay, but she'll be watching after the fact. Thank you so very much, Rebecca, for that. You guys keep the fires burning bright in Valhalla. Thank you so very much, Rebecca. And this one, let me see here, is just for you, Rebecca. Skull! A little toxic femininity to start the night off. And greetings, everyone. Leia Rose, good evening. Leia Rose was first. Apollome's Minion was second. Good evening. I almost said good morning. Good evening, Apollome's Minion. So good to see you and Leia Rose here. Mark the Infinitely Tired was next. Rebecca Early was after that. Thank you guys so much for being here. Rough Girl TV says, dang, my time is all jacked up. She has been waiting patiently for the show to start. Mark the Infinitely Tired and Chris Persia, good evening, Regis. Thank you so very much for being here, guys. The Catman, Dee Myers is here. Good evening, Dee Myers. How are you doing, brother? Snortapoops Cuber, my favorite polar bear in YouTube, says, hello, Snorts. How are you doing, brother? Dave Bob, my brother from another mother, is here. Dave Bob, we're going to be kicking it off tomorrow morning in the weekend review. Claude Saline is here. Good evening, Gap Stargate. Good evening, guys. Hope you all are doing well. Luis Sparrow. Hello, Luis. So good to see you. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a great time. Me and Adega kind of didn't know whether we were going to do this tonight or not, but it is not your fault. Do not blame Adega. Hashtag blame Loki. That's the way it goes. It's hashtag blame Loki. All of you guys enjoy rubbing that one in. So hashtag blame Loki. We just kind of wanted to get together tonight and do something different and talk a little bit.
Have no fear. A bunch of things going on that kind of prevented for me on my end, but how would you feel knowing a lot of the things that are going on in world events right now, and then want to talk about conspiracies and other dark things when you turn on the news and that's all you get? It'd be a little difficult for me to bring up dark things when it's all unfolding. Chris, you're a nice guy. But no, there's just a ton of stuff in world events right now, and it would be remiss not to be able to acknowledge the fact that most of us who are sitting here with YouTube aren't huddled in subways in the dark corners of their home with their internet shut off while you're hearing things explode around you, or having your money taken from you simply because you honked your horn. It's a rough time. It might get a little worse before it gets better. But I guess the main thing, and this is something that Loki and I were talking about before we came on, is that it's not the fault of your neighbor. It's not the fault of the person you haven't met. It is the fault of the people and power. It is the fault of those who we call celebrity, those who have pushed narratives, the news agencies, the ones who, and I brought this up with him a while back, and I don't know who shared it with me, I forget, but it was brilliant. Again, I love bringing this up because it's so applicable. You put red ants and black ants in the same container, and they don't do anything until you shake the container. And the container's been shook, and hence we fight for no good reason except at the joy of the person who shook the jar. I'm tired of it. When people say you're this or that or the other, when they call you names, I'm tired of it. I don't listen to it anymore. And that's what scares them. That's why social media, like Twitter and the other one, at Facebook, they're failing. You look at their financials, they're falling apart. It's because people like you, people like us, are tired of it and don't listen to it anymore. Once upon a time, all of you knew that, 20 years ago, if you're old enough, 30, 40 years ago, if you're old enough, then if you're Dave Bobs and my age, the thing with sticks and stones was a real thing. People could say stuff all day long, but when they use certain words that had connotations, like people from World War II or people who don't like other colors, they stung because those were real serious accusations. Now they don't mean anymore. They're darts that they throw at you trying to stab you in the heart. Don't sting anymore. And when they throw these accusations, it's time not to live in fear. It's time to tell things like they really are. And I'm still fired up from listening to Loki this morning. That's maybe a little bit of the reason why I wasn't prepared tonight.
Hashtag blame Loki. What do you think about, because I saw something earlier today that I absolutely could not believe. It was a message that said, remember when you're talking about the good people of Ukraine and what they're going through, to remember their pronouns.
See,
And
that is idiocracy. These people are worried about. There's a group, and I saw this earlier. A group of people in the Ukraine. I would say probably almost all of the Ukraine now, who can't get money, who can't get food. I mean, it's not a matter of where to find it or who to talk to. It's not there. And you're worried about what to call them, trying to put the small minority of sensibilities from a group of college students and recent grads who haven't learned to grow up, trying to impose their beliefs upon another nation that is actually going through real oppression and not this imaginary fake stuff that we have here. What I think of it, I don't use this word lightly. That's why you've never heard me say it before, but they are fools. Because they do not have the mentality to be adults. They do not have the mentality to be working, productive citizens, to have self-value. Their value in being called something instead of being something, that shows that they're shallow, they're ignorant, and they need to be laughed at. Not respected for their opinions, but laughed at and ridiculed back into a hole to where they can self-reflect and figure out why in the world they came up with these stupid ideas from stupid professors and stupid media to become such idiocracy of thought in their minds to think that they could push that on a nation that is truly being oppressed. They're fools.
when I see something like that, I don't understand how that mentality works. I don't understand, like, oh, well, this is, you know what? People are losing their homes. People are losing their lives. People are losing everything they've ever had. But remember, we have to talk about them in this way. What fucking clown world do you live in
Right.
where
Right.
that's your first thought? Don't forget, he, him, them, thou, she.
And see, that brings me up to something else. I'm going to sidetrack a little bit because I don't want to forget it. And I remembered this earlier, and I'm not trying to be self-serving if that's the way you take it. And I don't think anybody will, but I'm just putting that out there. One of the big uproars about the cultural appropriation from these clowns is, and you've all seen it, and you're maybe getting sick of it because none of us in their right mind are going to watch this unless it's to ridicule it. You know, this Lord of the Rings things where they had these super fans, and they were saying, finally, I get to see myself in a movie or get to see someone. The whole point of these stories is to take yourself out of your own world and go somewhere else, see something else. The whole point of the stories, and this is why I made the self-serving thing, the whole point of the reason, or the whole point of the people in my stories is to not put me in there and not to see myself in there, but for you to see people that I have known, to see their sorrows, to see their struggles. Maybe not the same circumstances, but the same mentality. And it didn't matter what race, color, or creed they were, because they're all human. And the same thing is when you were talking about them saying pronouns, it's assuming that their lack of sensibility applies to everyone else and that they need to be represented, when no, you need to open up your mind and see someone else and not look for yourself. The narcissism of that, think about it, to where you're assuming that the world is so limited that it has to, and if it isn't, it has to be pigeonholed into your ideals, your sensibility, your lack of understanding in order for it to make you feel good. Again, that is a sign of a very weak mind. Amateurs on life. These really are an NPC because you can't really interact with them. At least not on an intellectual level. You can on an emotion level because they'll go off on emotions. And we've talked about this before too. They'll go off on emotions at a heartbeat because they're working at the primitive brain. They don't have the higher reasoning kicked in. It's been trained to shut off. And if you speak to them with emotion, they might respond. But logic, it's going to take a lot of work to get them to start reasoning again, to understand what life is all about, instead of these hashtags, these pronouns, these judgmental, small-minded opinions. Sorry, you guys can tell I'm a little fired up today.
One of the things that
Inhale,
these
Perry.
people have, one of the things that these people have not experienced, and when I say these people, I mean the crazy green-haired whack jobs that think that the most important thing in this world is speaking to people using their pronouns. One of the things they haven't experienced is a monumental hardship in the world. You see, back in the 30s, there was a whole time where people were eating nothing but cabbage. Do you know why people were eating nothing but cabbage? Because that's all there was.
Yep.
You had very few options.
Yep.
You got to make a stew. Pretty much the entire world ate stew for years because that's all there was. Then World War II happened and everything changed. And after all that was said and done, the world started pulling itself out of that hole it was in. And things changed.
And
These people have never been through anything like that.
Right. Some of you, at least those of you who know me, know that I was adopted by much older parents. My mom, you're talking about the 30s, and she grew up in California. And my grandfather, who I never met because he died young from cancer, he or she was, in order for them to eat, 8 years old, she went to the local river, collected crayfish, or they called them crawdads, sold those at the local market for flour. They made cookies and then sold those, and that's where they got their money. Each one was a scale up, but she's 8 years old, running a business to help feed her family. My dad was more fortunate because he lived on a farm, but it was cabbage. And the thing about the war, he remembered being mad at his family because they were fighting over his tobacco rations. He never smoked, would never do it because he saw them fighting like that. But think about that. Rationing even things like tobacco, rubber rations. It's just, they have no idea what these hardships are. You look at them and they're all overweight. What have they suffered? No latte in the morning? They had to get up an extra hour to apply for a job that they think they deserve? Nope.
It's funny you mentioned rations. I was thinking the other day. A lot of these people would very much enjoy it if we lived in a socialist environment. I'll tell you something. When your toilet paper is rationed, when your paper towels are rationed, when your food, your loaf of bread is rationed, you don't get to go down to the store and get more. They have you on a list, and that list is digital now. So no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you only have so much you are rationed each month to get. That includes gas, that includes paper towels, that includes toilet paper, that includes everything. You are rationed out what you get. You don't get a choice. You don't get to go and say, well, I've got this much money, I want this. No, you've already received your ration for the month. You can't get more.
The thing about when you go further towards government control, to socialism, which is fascism, just different type of government, but it's the same oppression of people, and communism, it is the ideology of scarcity. Rationing assumes that there's going to be something for you to be rationed out. We talked several months ago, I brought up the Holodomor. Ukraine has known what communism and socialism has done when they had 13 million of their people starved out from the Russians, who came in and took everything and set guards to make sure that the people wouldn't go out in the fields to glean the straw off of their grain to make soup. And if they did get away with it, they'd come in, destroy what these people had, and the kids were left, many of them, on the streets because their parents disappeared. That ideology is the ideology of scarcity.
Walmart's not going to save your ass.
Nope.
When your money is worthless. I'm going to tell you something. If they don't have anything to sell you, they have to shut their doors. Your money could be $1 could be worth $100, but guess what? You're using it to wipe your ass because you can't even buy toilet paper. Doesn't matter how much the dollar is worth when you can't buy anything with it. Because there's nothing to buy. Well, Loki, how could that possibly happen? When everything's shut down and nothing is being made, you're not buying anything. When you've got one plant producing toilet paper because everybody else is shut down because they can't get the materials to do it, guess what? That's all you're getting. If you're getting any at all. And if you're not, you're wiping your butt with a dollar bill.
The assumption is that the government can come in and control these places and make sure everyone gets goods and services. That's what they believe. The problem is that every time, without fail, these businesses that are run by people who develop them will have the leadership in them replaced by political appointees who have no clue on what they're doing. Therefore, things start to fall apart every single time. So where you used to have a production of eggs, the people put in place don't know how much food needs to be sent to these chickens. And the chickens stop producing and start dying off. The scarcity begins every single time. Never fails. It just doesn't work. Think of an economy like a pie, and they think, well, you can divvy up the pie and give it to so many people. The problem is when the pie keeps getting smaller, there's less and less. And the government doesn't want to sacrifice anything. The people, then the powers that be, think of every single government, how they continue to vote better paychecks, better pensions, better homes for themselves. While even in the what used to be the most prosperous nation, the United States, where we have people, tent cities in California. So no, it doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that works is when people are allowed to be free and work for themselves. Responsibility sets in and accomplish or suffer. And people don't like to suffer, so they will work. But they work for themselves, and people are allowed to excel. They're allowed. The funny thing, I don't know if we mentioned this or not. I can't remember where I brought it up. I have several engineer friends. One is a really good friend of mine, and this is not disparaging to anybody. It's a cultural thing, and it's not disparaging to other cultures as well, because they all have parts of it that are beautiful, except for communist cultures. But there are the American engineers, there's German engineers, there's a lot of the European ones, and then there's the Asian engineers, or south of the border, different things. And they have different cultures, every single one of them, and their expectations from those cultures are different. They would hire in his company people from India because they had phenomenal engineers that were able to calculate really, really well. You set them to task, they'll calculate it out. If something went wrong, then they turned to the American engineers because they could imagine solutions where the other cultures didn't have that, because they weren't, the freedom to express and to grow was stymied to some degree in those nations. And every single time, and this isn't just this one case, I've talked to many of them, and there's people out there who can back me up, and it's nothing about race, it's about a cultural difference, where the lack of the abject freedom that we have, the absolute freedom that we should have, allows the mind to visualize, to create, to expand that pie to where everybody has sufficient or has what they want. And if you really want it, you can get it. Where the opposite holds true, where there will be a class system, and the majority of the people have not, and the very few who have the guns have it all.
Rough Girl TB, who has a $10 super chat here tonight, says, born on a slave plantation my grandma bought from his dad that owned it. Race hustlers have no place here. Thank you, Loki. Your words mean so much and offer us wise counsel. Thank you so very much, Rough Girl, for that $10 super chat. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla. Let's burn that son of a bitch down tonight. Skull! Adega, Chris Persia says, I heard stories of farmers scavenging the fields for stray grains of wheat. I'm assuming he means in Russia. When they managed to get half a bag or a whole bag, the army would commandeer that and terminate the farmers.
Yeah.
We talked about that one night.
That's the Holodomor. Yeah, I did actually bring that up. We showed pictures of the memorial statues that they have, which are probably going to be destroyed. Here's something, too. Something to think about, because I don't want to get into foreign politics too much, but it is important that you understand what you're being presented isn't necessarily correct or the whole picture. You're being led down a path to hate Russians and feel sympathy for the Ukrainians. And in some ways, that's kind of justifiable. In other ways, it's not. And here's the reason why not. When the Soviet Union fell and Ukraine came into being, it was taken over by basically the Ukrainian mob. It's been an oligarchy. They're not a republic and by no means a democracy, even though it has the illusions of it. And we have dozens upon dozens of politicians that have played in dirty pool through the Ukraine. All the evidence is coming out. It's all there. It doesn't matter if you're right or left. They've been making money off of these poor people in the Ukraine. And their government is diabolical for the most part. I can't say that with a surety for all of them, but I know for the most part it is. On the other hand, in Russia, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Putin. I'm not a fan of the heavy hand that they have. However, they don't play with the New World Order. That's why they're constantly painting them as a villain when they haven't done anything to anyone in a very long time. But on their doorstep is the Ukraine, a completely corrupt country that is causing them problems. So the picture's a little bit bigger than what you would think.
There's so much more to this than what you're seeing and what is being told to you on national television.
Yes. You're told to, and there's a Babylon 5 reference, you've been told to pick a side. Whose side do you want to pick? Your side? Their side? What if you don't want to pick a side? Maybe the truth lies somewhere in between or somewhere outside of the choices that you've been given. And in this case, and in most cases, that is true. Don't be played for a fool by being told this is this and this is that, because more often than not, the picture's a lot bigger than what you're being presented.
Gab Stargate says, Loki, my brother just adopted a little girl, 9 years old, from Ukraine and got her out right before the war started. That is so beautiful, Gab Stargate.
That is.
He also helped 29 Ukraine girls get to Poland.
That is
wonderful. Nicholas Glenn, Walmart will become concentration camps before they help the people of this country.
You know, there was a lot of conspiracy theories, and how true they were, it depends on who you ask. Like I said, we never know the full story of that during, because there was evidence of it, and this is why people believe this. So don't take me as saying this is or this isn't, because there was evidence of that actually being true during Obama years, where it was, they had signs of that's, through the FEMA, we call them FEMA camps, coordinated through there. But like I said, I don't know for sure, but there is evidence.
Forbidden Rune says, today, China violated Taiwan's airspace. I did not know that, Forbidden Rune. I usually keep track of all that. They're going after the country of Taiwan while the world has a virtue signaling meltdown over Russia.
Yep.
I want to tell you something, and this is the truth. Just the God honest truth. This is something that's happening, and it's happening every single day. We are not what we used to be, and we get weaker every single day. There was a huge meltdown over colonialism. Well, I want to tell you something. Countries expand, countries grow, countries become more powerful. When part of your population wants you to lose, there is a problem. When half of your population thinks you're scum because you want your country to be strong, there's a problem. When half of your country calls you an is, an ob, and a Yahtzee because you want your country to stand tall, there is a problem. When the people who have been writing stories about national pride, taking pride in yourself, truth, justice, and the American way, change all of those stories to make you weak because they can't stand you being strong, there is a problem. And that problem is inside and has been inside for a long while now. They denied it. They said cancel culture does not exist. Whisper networks do not exist. SJW, all this SJW shit that's going on does not exist. And one of the main things of all of this has been shame. Shame for standing tall. Shame for standing for your beliefs. Shame for being patriotic. Shame for being who you are. And that is exactly what I was trying to talk about this morning. They are canceling people for being who they are and saying anything that goes against the status quo. They are erasing people. They are taking their jobs. They are now taking their bank accounts. They are putting them in jail because they do not go along with what everyone else is wanting to go along with. If that doesn't scare the holy living shit out of you, I don't know what will. And they will turn on themselves and eat themselves. They will ruin each other. And I have heard from a lot of people that say, just let them eat their own. But guess what? You're all going to get eaten along with their own. Because this isn't going to stop until there's a major shakeup and none of this shit means anything anymore. How bad do you want it to get when that happens? People can call me crazy. People can say, Loki, you're just black-pilled, you're black-pilled, blah, 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 and you're just at the... No, I am a realist in the fact that if you give all of your rights away, you have nothing left, and they can do whatever they want to. They can tell you what to wear, which is what they already try and do. They can tell you what to eat, which is what they're already trying to do. They can tell you when to sleep, which is what they're already trying to do. They can tell you where you have to work. And if you don't like it, you're put out in the cold and you're erased, which is what they're already doing in Hollywood. This isn't just a problem with the movie industry. This is a problem that is going on everywhere. If you stand up and you speak out, they will put you down and silence you. And then what do you have? You have nothing. You have no job. They've taken that away. They can freeze your bank account, take your money away from you. They can make sure you never work anywhere again, which is what they're already working on. They can take your food away. They can take your home away. They can take away everything you've had. Because guess what? You don't have any rights anymore.
Loki said 50% of the people, but the actual stats are it's 30, 30, 30. 30 that are the really bad people. 30% that are the good people. And 30% that sit in the middle just wondering what the heck is going on. And you guys have all heard that before. Our problem is that the 30% who are for decency and for helping each other haven't been loud enough. When people have pointed the finger and tried to shame them since the 80s it didn't happen in the 80s, but it started in the 90s. Since the 90s, most of the time when people point a finger and tell you to shame, these good people would look inward and silence themselves, censure themselves, because they worried if they really were that bad. But we know we're not. It's time to stop being so silent. It's time to get off your butt and ignore and laugh at and chase away the filth that is being pushed upon us by news medias, by bad movies, by bad actors, because they have worked in fear, and that is their weapon until they have you silenced and shut down, and then they have all the power. Don't allow it to happen. And it's not just, Loki and I live in the States, but it's not just the States. We're talking about all the Western world. We're talking about Middle East. We're talking about India. A lot of these countries that have working democracies or republics, democracies are going to have to change. They need to be turned into a republic or they're going to fail. But your silence to them means acceptance. And it gives them courage. It's time to stop being so silent.
Darth Arlena with $5 super chat says, it all started a while back. They have pussified our military and made us, not the world's superpower, the world's laughingstock. I'll tell you a story, and I've told this story before, and I know Adega loves this story, and thank you, Darth Arlene, for that. Story is about a group of Army Airborne Rangers that my grandfather was a part of. And they dropped on D-Day. They dropped and they came upon a line of British soldiers that had been entrenched fighting German soldiers. And they said, we're going to go around behind them. When the shooting starts, charge, and we'll hit them from both sides. The British officer, without missing a beat, said, but that's not cricket. When you are in the military, any military, and your hands are tied behind your back, and you're told, go and fight these people. Having your hands tied behind your back like that gets people killed. That's all it does. It gets people killed. I understand why in the 60s, during Vietnam, they made a lot of different changes because there was a whole bunch of wonky shit going on. But those restrictions have gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. What's next? You're not allowed to carry weapons into combat? You have to fight the enemy with harsh language? What's next? I absolutely agree with you, Darla Arlena. Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. She says it was beginning when I went into the Marines in the 90s. They got rid of hazing and it has trickled down from there. You know what I learned? It's funny, Adega. You know what I learned when I was working at the prison I was working at? It's not what you, as a guard, can do to an offender. It is what they can do to their own. You're not going to scare them into listening to you. You're not going to inspire fear. But their fellow inmates, that's what they do. And it's almost a job of letting them police themselves. Sure, you're there to make sure no one gets shibbed, knifed, shot, whatever. But at the end of the day, realizing that the real people that keep things in line isn't you and the 12 other people that are there to watch after 1,500 people. It's them. You can run around a prison being a RoboCop all you want. Taking things away, writing in your little notebook, whatever. But it's them handling each other. That's where it really is. That's what it is. Anyone else who thinks differently hasn't quite gotten to figure that out yet. That they're the reason why they're there, but they're also the reason why they stay there. Because if they wanted, at any night, 1,500 people is impossible for 12 people to take care of. Impossible. And just like that, Psychodorf kind of gets it. There are thousands of us. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. We decide, at least we're supposed to, how things go. Not the other way around. Government is allowed to govern because we allow it. Not because they do. But because we do.
And the arrogance has set in with them where they think it's the other way around. And nothing has deterred them from believing that. And thank Canada for opening up a lot of people's eyes. They're truckers. A nation of only 36 million people has put a fire under people that have been sitting on their keisters for a little while and are starting to pay attention.
We the people.
Which reminds me, my wife brought home something the other day when she was out with her buddies. A while back, you guys used to see part of my library behind my back. I haven't redone it. I got to paint this room and do some floor work and some other things before I get everything back up. But she found a massive book collection, which is the talks of all the presidents. Now, I have the lectures of a lot of people, and you guys heard me read some of that. But the words of inspiration, I'm going to dig through these and we'll bring back some of the treasured and inspirational speeches done by these people in the past that have made us what we once were and will be again. I guarantee you. This is a struggle that our nation and other nations have faced before. But it's no doubt in my mind, when difficulties start hitting, real difficulties, the cowards will flee as they always do. When the people maintain their rights by the Second Amendment, by their First Amendment, and by the courage of standing up and standing shoulder to shoulder. So I'm not worried about it. I am worried about individuals. That was another thing too, just a quick point. You hear the word social justice, they're talking about justice for society. What's the big thing that they don't explain to you about that? When it's a social justice, there is a loss of individual justice and liberty. The name itself is oppressive. Anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting. Darth Arlena has another wonderful thing. Go ahead.
Darth Arlena with $10 super chat says, they tell you to give up a little freedom for security. Then bills get passed to slowly chip away at more and more of your rights. I'd rather live in a dangerous place than give up any of my rights.
Hoorah.
Hoorah, Darth Arlena. And Psychodorf 9 says, Loki, the entire military and police together are less than 20,000. U.S. population is over 80,000. Yes. A lot more than 8,000. Thank you, Darth Arlena, for that $10 super chat. You guys keep the fires of Valhalla burning bright. And just for you, Dorothy Arlena, I know how much you like him. So let's punch an old woman in the face tonight. Skull!
God, I want to punch an old woman in the face.
Yes.
The name is Pelosi. Oops, did I say that? I'm sorry.
Oh, shit.
Well, I appreciate everyone listening to me rant. I'm sorry that I didn't have something goofy for you tonight, but there are things that weigh on people's minds at times, and sometimes you just have to vent. You have to have your social group, because this hour is going to end, and everyone's going to go off and do their different things for the evening. And I hope that every one of you will tell 2 or 3 people same thing that they've been told before. To stand up and stop being afraid of these. How afraid can you be of soy? Seriously.
I do not know.
When
I don't know.
Why is it terrifying to you? If they take away your sandbox, so what? Build a bigger one. You got Getter, you got Gab, you got
Build a bigger one.
Yeah. Just don't lose your voice.
That's right. And use it. Don't lose it.
Yep.
Shout out to Gap Stargate. This guy right here, guys, if you haven't subscribed to him, check him out. He jumped on and did a stream the other morning after one of mine. Love looking at the toys, brother. Yes, I did watch your stream. I'm going to get the gold. I want that gold Hatak, and I want the oh my god, the Dreadnought, the Tari Dreadnought. Daedalus. I want Daedalus. I want Daedalus, and I want the gold mothership. I want all of it. I want absolutely all of it. So I'm gonna have to free up like $200 and get the damn Stargate ships. I have almost the entire Eagle Moss collection of Star Trek, and it's in a box in my closet. And it's a box in my closet because I don't even want to look at it.
Right.
I'm just like, blah.
There was only a couple of things that I ever wanted to buy when it comes to, because I don't collect those type of things. I collect real weird oddities. You've seen some of my stuff, knives in particular, whether it be swords or what have you. But I got all kinds of bizarre things, crystal skulls, different things. But there was one that I wanted to get, and I won't go in because the comic book store says if you're not wearing a mask, you have to be vaccinated. It's like, okay, you don't need my money. But they have a Serenity.
Oh!
That is a foot long, and it's incredibly detailed. And I was ready to go get that thing. And I said, nope, you can't come in. I said, well, you just lost $200.
Yeah. I walked into a GameStop the other day, and I got told you have to have a mask on. And I said, well, you just lost $100. Sorry. Walked right back out. Went and spent my money elsewhere, which is what I'll continue to do. There are no restrictions. There are none of that. There's none of that here in Texas. So if that is the way you want to play it, I'll do my business somewhere else. See ya. You can suck it.
Yeah, kneels don't bend for that. Or knees.
All right, guys, I don't know what we're going to be doing next week, but I know that we have had a wonderful conversation tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to thank you, Darth Arlena, for the super chats. Rough Girl, for your $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Rough Girl. And Rebecca Early, who was here early. See what I did there? And donated a $20 super sticker. Thank you so very much, Rebecca. Rebecca is the young lady that runs Red River Tattoo. She has been a supporter of the channel for a long time. Thank you so very much, Rebecca. If you're listening to this, we absolutely love you and would love an update on how everything has been going.
Yes.
We would absolutely love an update. So
Yep, I should have something for everyone next week. I know you said you don't know what we're going to do, but I should be back pending some weird disaster, terrible thing in the world, but so long as it's not contra. Either way, I should have something prepared. I kind of got in the groove today. I started working on another top 5 video.
Nice.
Yeah, this one's, you guys are going to love this one. I know the sea creature one people thought was pretty cool, but this one, they've given me a lot of leeway and time because they kind of know my situation. But fired up, going to get this one done. So I'll let you guys know. Think of it, they take a while, a couple months before it comes out. But I should have something for Valhalla next week, something appropriate.
Chris Fergus says, thank you, Adega. Thank you, Loki. And thank you, chat, for a great evening. And Mark the Infinitely Tired echoes that. Excellent discussion night, Loki and Adega.
That'd just be nice.
Catman DD Myers, Loki and Adega. Thanks. Thank you guys so much for being here.
If there's anything to take away, just don't be afraid anymore. Don't be afraid of words. Don't be afraid of people. Don't be afraid of your opinions being contrary to what the world says you should be, because the world's lying to you. I saw this ad the other day of one of these online stores where it says you can be in the influential crowd to some degree by images, not by voice. And they're showing all these people walking, parading around with all the clothes they bought from the store. And they all look like clowns. And they're trying to tell you this is high fashion. Why in the world would you debase yourself by spending 3 times the amount of money on something that looks like fools when you can go buy something simple? You look good, you look clean, and you're not playing into their machine. Don't be afraid anymore, please. Don't be afraid. Wake up and take on the world every day, because it's there for you. And the rest of us are waiting for you to join us.
Carpe diem, ladies and gentlemen. Carpe diem, seize the day. And on that note, we're out of here. Thank you so very much, everyone. Be great. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. And we will see you next time on 7 Kinds of Mischief.
Very good night, everyone.
These videos are tremendous.
We got to do more of these.
Like, comment, and subscribe. And
Off the Cuff Talk
notification
with Loki
bell.
and Adega. Off the Cuff Talk with Loki and Adega.